Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 4 Reddit stories for you. Wild Reddit stories that will leave you speechless. Story 1. Friend claims she remembers 9/11 at age 3. So my friend just told our entire group she remembers watching 9/11 happen in her classroom when she was 3 years old, and I'm about to blow up her whole story. This friend of mine was born in 1998, which means she was literally 3 when 9/11 happened. But she's been telling this same story for years about how she was in class and they wheeled in TVs to show all the kids what was happening on screen. Every single time 9/11 gets mentioned, out comes this story. She's the oldest in our friend group and the rest of us weren't even alive when it happened, so I guess she feels like she needs to be the authority on it or something. But recently she told the story again, and when she said she was in class, someone asked what kind of classes 3-year-olds even have. She got all defensive and said it was preschool. Then I couldn't help myself. I told her flat out that she doesn't actually remember 9/11. I explained that most preschools wouldn't show traumatic events to toddlers, and that scientists have proven most people can't form lasting memories before age 4. I said what she thinks she remembers is probably just a false memory created from years of hearing about it and seeing footage. Well, she did not take that well at all. She got super upset and said I was invalidating her trauma and that just because I wasn't alive doesn't mean I can tell her what she does or doesn't remember. Our other friends kind of stayed quiet, but I could tell some of them were thinking the same thing I was. The thing is, I wasn't trying to be mean about it. I just think it's weird to claim you remember something that traumatic when you were basically still in diapers. And it feels kind of disrespectful to people who actually do have real memories of that day, you know? But now she's barely talking to me and some people are saying I should have just let her have her story. Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut, but doesn't truth matter? Am I wrong for calling out something that's obviously not real? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. Baby mama's pregnancy news sounded like a prank. So my ex just told me she's pregnant and I laughed because I thought she was pranking me, and now I might be the biggest jerk on the planet. Here's what happened. I met this girl a while back and we slept together one night. Things didn't end well afterward and I'll take full responsibility for that, so naturally she blocked me on everything. A couple weeks later, she somehow gets in touch to tell me she's pregnant. Now here's the thing, we were both clean consenting adults, she was on birth control, and she even took Plan B afterward just to be extra safe. 2 forms of contraception, right? So when she calls me up and says she's pregnant, my first instinct was that this had to be some kind of elaborate prank to get back at me for how things ended. I mean, what are the odds? I actually laughed and said something like, yeah right, good one. Big mistake. Turns out she was completely serious. She was calling to let me know about the pregnancy and discuss what we were going to do moving forward. When I laughed, she got understandably upset and hung up on me. I tried calling back immediately but she wouldn't answer. I texted her apologizing and explaining that I genuinely thought it was a joke because of the birth control situation, but she's not responding to anything. Now I'm sitting here realizing that if she really is pregnant, I just reacted in literally the worst possible way. She was probably nervous as hell to call me, especially after how we left things, and instead of being supportive or even just listening, I laughed in her face. Even if the timing seemed suspicious to me, that's not how you respond to news like that. But at the same time, can you really blame me for being skeptical? We used protection, she took Plan B, and then she calls weeks later after blocking me everywhere. The whole situation just seemed so unlikely. I keep going back and forth between feeling terrible about my reaction and feeling like maybe my suspicion was justified. Either way, I handled it completely wrong and now I have no way to reach her to properly apologize and figure out what's really going on. Did I mess up as badly as I think I did? Story 3. Using disabled bathroom for mental health issues. So I've been using the disabled bathroom at my college because of my PTSD, and apparently I'm causing a huge controversy. I have complex PTSD and I've always had serious trouble with multi-stall public bathrooms, especially men's rooms. It's not exactly a direct trigger, but it's closely linked to a major part of my trauma. I'm in intensive therapy trying to manage all my triggers, but when you have as many as I do, you have to prioritize which ones to work on first. Being in a public bathroom causes me massive anxiety and puts me at serious risk of having a flashback. Most of the time I just avoid public bathrooms altogether, but sometimes when you're on campus all day, you don't have a choice. So I started using the single-stall accessible bathroom instead. It's just one room, I can lock the door, and I don't have that overwhelming anxiety. The thing is, I don't look disabled. I'm a young guy with no visible disabilities, so when people see me coming out of that bathroom, they assume I'm just using it for convenience. A few weeks ago, this girl confronted me right outside the bathroom. She said I was taking resources away from people who actually need them and that mental illness doesn't count as a real disability. I tried to explain that PTSD is actually considered a disability under the ADA and that I have legitimate medical documentation, but she wasn't having it. She said unless I'm in a wheelchair or have some obvious physical problem, I shouldn't be using that bathroom. The confrontation itself triggered a panic attack, which kind of proved my point, but she just walked away. Now I'm second-guessing myself constantly. Every time I use that bathroom, I'm looking over my shoulder wondering if someone's going to call me out again. I've talked to my therapist about it and she says I have every right to use accommodations that help manage my disability, but the guilt is eating me alive. I've even started going back to the regular bathroom sometimes and dealing with the anxiety just to avoid conflict. But that's not fair to me either, right? I have documentation, I have a real medical condition, and this accommodation genuinely helps me function. Just because my disability is invisible doesn't make it less valid. Am I really doing something wrong here? Story 4. Sister won't stop giving unsolicited quitting advice. So I just started EMT training to prepare for nursing school, which meant I had to quit smoking weed cold turkey, and my sister is driving me absolutely insane with her unwanted advice. I've been a pretty much daily THC user for about 8 years now. The weekend before my first EMT class, I quit cold turkey because I need to be clean for my licensing exam in about 13 weeks. It's been rough, but I'm committed to this career change. My sister reaches out asking why I quit, so I explain the whole situation. She immediately launches into this lecture about how I should have tapered off gradually instead of going cold turkey, how I should be drinking more water and exercising, all this stuff I never asked for. I told her thanks, but I didn't need advice about quitting. I've got this handled and I'm doing fine with my current approach. But she wouldn't drop it. She kept pushing, saying I was being stubborn and that she was just trying to help. Finally, I snapped and told her I never asked for her opinion and that she needs to respect my boundaries when I say I don't want advice. She got all huffy and said she was just being a supportive sister and that I was being ungrateful. Here's the thing though, this is classic behavior for her. She always thinks she knows better than everyone else and can't just listen without trying to fix everything. When I say I don't want advice, I mean it. Sometimes people just want to share what's going on in their lives without being lectured about how they should handle it differently. I'm an adult, I've done my research, and I'm confident in my approach. The cold turkey method is working for me so far, and if I need help, I'll ask for it. But she acts like I'm being unreasonable for not wanting her input. I love my sister, but she has this habit of inserting herself into situations where she's not needed. It's exhausting having every conversation turn into her telling me what I should be doing differently. I just wanted to share an update about my life, not get a lecture on addiction recovery methods. Maybe I was too harsh in how I told her to back off, but I've tried being polite about this boundary before and she doesn't listen. Was I wrong to tell her I didn't need her advice? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.